What's up guys, it's Oblivious Gamer here, and well, today I just wanted to do a brief video talking a bit about Final Fantasy XVI, because it has been quite the topic, not just because it's a good game, but there has been a lot of discussion about if Final Fantasy XVI is an actual Final Fantasy game. And there has been a discussion left and right with a lot of people. It's been quite doozy because some people are not happy with what Final Fantasy XVI is. Some even saying that this is not a actual Final Fantasy game. Now, Final Fantasy has been a franchise for years now. The first game came out in 1987. We are now in 2023. So what, that's about 36 years? That's quite a lot of time. Obviously, that means the games have been going through a lot of changes with the generation and with the times. So of course, there's gonna be fans that played from the start all the way to being brand new, with this being their first Final Fantasy game. For me, where do I stand? I personally like Final Fantasy XVI. I've been enjoying it a lot. I'm a huge fan of Devil May Cry, and the fact that this is an action RPG or an action-focused game, I'm enjoying it, I'm loving it. Now, I do want to state, I'm a huge fan of turn-based RPGs and tactical RPGs. It's one of my favorite genres. I'm not saying that I'm just preferring this game because it's action. For me, I also enjoy turn-based RPGs. So it's not something that I'm preferring one or the other, which is why I like Final Fantasy XVI. I just enjoyed the combat and I've been having a lot of fun with it. And I've seen some people obviously not happy that it's kind of like an action game, like Devil May Cry. Considering who's one of the gameplay directors, But I think in the end of the day, this is just on par with Final Fantasy. For a while, Final Fantasy games have been very, I don't want to say, no, the word's not problematic, but divisive for what they are. I feel ever since 13, Square Enix has sort of hit a lot of games that have been very divisive with the community. 13 was, depending on who you are, you might enjoy it or you might hate it. 14 had to nuke itself before it became something good. 15 was also very divisive, depending on who you were. And now we have 16. So I'm not too surprised that there's people that like it and that there's people that hate it. I do think in the end of the day, it's just a matter of what you like. I don't really think these discussions people are gonna come out enlightened and different because of this discussion, when it's something that it sort of happens with every Final Fantasy game. I personally feel I've seen people saying this is not a JRPG, which I understand it's not JRPG, but if you remember correctly, Naoki Yoshida, who is working on this game, he has stated that he doesn't like the term JRPG because before, a lot of media back in the early days of gaming used the term JRPG as a condescending term. So for example, you already have that, so I'm not going to describe this game as a JRPG, being that, the producer doesn't like that. However, there's a discussion of if this is an RPG, and through, like it or not, this game is an RPG, just by basic definition. An RPG is a game in which player assumes the roles of a character in a fictional setting. You're playing as Clive, you assume the role of Clive, and you're in a fictional setting. That's an RPG. It's not the usual RPG that you play from the Final Fantasy franchise, where you have builds, characters, party synergy, all that kind of stuff going in. It's focus on one character, because there's still party members in a way, but you're not building them up. But still an RPG, you're focused on Clive, you're playing his story, you're on his shoes. So don't know where too much discussion of it's not an RPG comes from. You can say it's an action RPG, that's fine, but going by that standards, I don't know. I think this discussion is going to eventually die down. It's a bit of a nuance. There's people that are going to like the game, and there's people that are going to hate the game. In the end of the day, it comes with every Final Fantasy for the past couple of years. It has been faring a lot better on Metacritic if you look at some of the previous Final Fantasy games that have come out recently. So I personally think it's a fun game, and it's something that, if you're interested, you should try it. There is a demo out there to see if this is a game that you would want, and you can take that save and continue from there. But it's not just about me. I am wondering, what are your thoughts? If you have played Final Fantasy XVI, or if you have seen or you've watched some Final Fantasy XVI footage, what are your thoughts? In the end of the day, everybody's going to have a different opinion, I feel. Obviously, some people are going to align with each other more than others, but I am curious how people are feeling about the game, and keep it civil. If anything, if there turns out to be some, I don't like people fighting over things that are not necessarily something that we should be going at each other's throats. It's just a game, guys. So, bit civil, keep it civilized if you guys end up clashing a bit down there, depending on what are your thoughts, because people are gonna have different opinions about this. It's a franchise that has been going on for quite some time with a lot of changes and evolution. So always though, this has been Oblivious Gamer, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.